All right then, let's get cracking. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for today. Hopefully we haven't coincided with your lunch break and you're not doing this without eating a sandwich or something like that. My name's Michael Lonnan, and I am one of the marketing managers here at HSO, specifically interested with a specific passion and a specific love for everything public sector. So I will effectively be your point man, I suppose. And you only get to tolerate me for the next second or minute or two before I introduce the guys. But I just want to say thank you for joining us today for this session. Just to let you know, just to remind you all that it's being recorded, although we won't share any of your details out. But I just had to, well, I was told to say that. And there's a couple of things to pick up on in just a second. So what I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to introduce the other two guys from HSO, the more important people, before I give you the reminders about what it is I'm actually going to talk about. So say hello, John.
Hey everyone, I'm John.
And say hello, Darren.
Hello everyone, my name's Darren, as you can tell.
And they can introduce themselves in just a second when we come on to their specific sessions. So all I wanted to say, all I wanted to remind myself is this. When you registered, there was a little button which lots of people miss, which said, allow third parties to send you information. Now, if you didn't tick that, that means, unfortunately, that I cannot send you the slides and we cannot send you the things that we're going to talk about later on today. So what I'm going to say to you, this is just a reminder, and I'll talk again, I'll remind you of it at the end as well, is I've got a really little form with just 4 quick questions in it. And guess what 2 of them are? Is your name and your email address. If you could fill that form in at the end, which I will provide a QR code and a link to in just a second. If you could fill that in, I can then send you the slides and the information that John's going to share with you a bit later on. So this is just a reminder, and I'll again remind you a bit later on. And what's the second thing I was going to ask you to do? And yeah, we go. Questions. Right. So I'm going to sit in the background. John and Darren are effectively going to present the session today. Now, if any questions come up, if you have any questions that you want to pose about anything that any of the guys are talking about, or potentially anything else, please do put them in the chat. I will grab them and I will flag them up to the guys when there's a opportune moment to do so. So do get your questions in if anything comes up. But without further ado, I'm just going to hand over to John now, and he's going to introduce you to HSO and today's session. John, over to you, my friend.
I should know that being ex-Microsoft. So first of all, I thought I'd cover off who is HSO. So HSO has been in business for over 40, almost 40 years actually, delivering solutions globally, and we've acquired some great companies along the way to build an absolutely amazing portfolio, which covers everything around Microsoft technologies. We're a Microsoft only shop or partner. And I don't know if you've seen in the news, we've been recently heavily invested into by Bain Capital, and they're investing in the future growth of HSO globally and leading the charge in AI and also public sector solutions for us. A bit of tick boxes which you would probably all like to see when you work with a Microsoft partner. We are completely ticked across all of the proficiency areas across the solutions, from business applications all the way to Microsoft Cloud. And as I mentioned before, we are a dedicated Microsoft partner. We work collaboratively with them, and we design and build with them, and we're part of the top 1% globally and part of that Microsoft Inner Circle partner. So that's who HSO is. We have a long list of customers that we've worked with across the public sector as well, and we're continuously working. And one of the things, and my role is kind of leading public sector and working with customers, is to sit and listen. I've been here just over 3 months, and what I've listened to is part of the meetings which I've had with Soccertim, with SIPFA, with over 10 odd councils, not just meeting them in person, but actually visiting their contact centres, visiting the field agents as well, is around how do we help customers, how do we help councils move forward? And the 4 or 5 things which I've been listening to is we need to do more with less. So what we're doing at HSO, we are building out and have built and got great solutions, and we're calling it Gov360. It's a platform which enables all councils to have a lower cost of delivery. It's repeatable, so if one council wanted to, for example, build out gazetteer in a council solution, then we would help build that, design that, and then repeat that at a more affordable rate for other councils as well. We offer full continuous support with AI at the heart of everything we do. One of the things which we really pride ourselves on is controlled, governed intelligence, and that's what you're going to see later on today around these 3 agents. There's a little slide, which is the next one. This is a busy slide, but you don't screenshot it because you get sent once you've done the QR code. But where we're going to touch point today is, let me go to my laser pen really quickly, is we're going to touch on this, which is Gov360 agents, which is controlled, governed intelligence. Slightly different to Copilot, but these are agents, and that's kind of where we're going to make the big differentiation for you and having controlled agents across your portfolio, okay? What you see in front of you as well is all of our offerings. So we do Gov360 Copilot in Microsoft 365. We have got agents, and we have this other amazing thing called Gov360, which is built on Dynamics 365, which integrates into the Microsoft Unified Data Platform. And it also aligns, horizontally, vertically, surrounded by Microsoft Security Stack. And this offers solutions for information governance, environmental health, and we're continuously building those out. One of the most important things as well, which we are building out, is our Gov360 finance solution. So we understand that, or I've been told by a lot of councils I've met, is a lot of people are spending quite a lot of money on support for legacy finance solutions. And we've currently just built out our Gov360 finance solution, which Microsoft are fully aware of, and you may hear from us soon on that. Everything we've built is designed to support reform. Okay, so it's UK engineered, it's AI enabled, designed for public sector. I hate reading slides, but I'm going through the boxes. And actually, this is all the feedback which we've had. I really want to make it clear to every single customer and partner on this call is we are listening to you, and we've made significant changes over the last 3-4 months. And we are really listening to develop and deliver solutions fit for purpose, which are repeatable across councils. Okay. And without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Darren with one more slide, and we're going to cover off some agents today. And we've got some amazing demos which Darren's going to lead, which is the customer service, the governance assurance. And I think, Darren, you may even touch onto the new Blue Badge solution, which is a bane for a lot of councils at the moment. And I'll finish with this. I went to a local council when I was in the contact centre, and people always say, why agents? Why AI? The most important thing which I got from meeting the contact centre staff was they were helping someone around school meals. And it was actually freeing up their time to help with school meals for a resident or to help people. But actually, because they had so much more time available to themselves, they could help them on 3 or 4 other things, which really helped impact their lives. So it reduces demand on councils for those mundane tasks. And it's also convenient for the people in your community, because you've got a mixture of all generations, and a lot of the younger generation and a tech-savvy generation want to do it on their time. So they want it short and punchy, and AI agents helps them do that. So I'm going to end with that. Nice to meet everyone, and I'm going to pass over to Darren.
Right, okay, if I can just take hold of the screen. I'm just going to share my screen. So let me just put it into presenter mode. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. So essentially, I'm going to give you a brief description around how we've built these agents, what we're doing, and how they can be extended and their uses. And also touch on a little bit more about why we would do them before I do the actual demo. So the main problem most councils have, and it's not just councils, it's businesses, it's everywhere across where we need to interact with large numbers of people, etc. So there's high demand for customer services. There's repetitive tasks, numerous repetitive tasks, sometimes to enabled between systems as legacy systems, and sometimes because there is just isn't a system in place to do it. Therefore, they requires lots of manual intervention. Some of their tasks are very complex and require lots of touch points, lots of decision points, and have lots of rules and regulations around them that need remembering and constant retraining. Then also there's multiple touch points of data coming in, and apologize for the technical language, but it could be data coming in from telephone calls, from email boxes, people visiting a front desk at a civic centre, all of these types of things that ultimately result in data that needs to be handled and responded to. People are impatient nowadays, so obviously with all of these things, that increases the time to resolution. And one of the things that we need to do, and we expect as people and residents of councils, is we expect to have our queries answered immediately, if not very quickly soon after. We don't like waiting days, weeks, months. So increased time to resolution is a problem as well at the moment. And then the ever-changing landscape of compliance and GDPR. As tech becomes more infused into our lifestyles and our data is more out there in the ether, as it were, it's important that the risks associated with that are handled and compliant with current legislation. So with councils, there are a huge number of services, and this is just an example list of some of that we've talked to people about, talked to councils about, talked to government agencies. All of these, if you can imagine, all of these take people and expertise, policies, all of this to keep this up to date is a huge task. And for people to remember this, every part of every service is very difficult. So this is where agents can help start pulling all of these services together in one place that can give you a way to interact with a huge data source to know what the current data is, what the current process is, and all of those type of things. On top of that, we call these rules of engagements, but they can be called guardrails. You'll hear lots of different terminology for different people, but essentially is like these are the rules of how should we interact, what do we need to do in each of those services. So if you multiply these guardrails by all of those services, you can see how exponential the workload could be, and it's what you're experiencing at the moment. You have to remember not to share sensitive data, and systems can help you do that, but legacy systems aren't geared up for that type of thing, and so data can be passed across multiple times. You need to have approved knowledge, signed off policies, all of those type of things that need to be accurate and consistent across. It needs to be in simple language that everybody can understand. We need to also deal with our residents with empathy and patience, all of these type of things. What are the safeguarding escalations we need? We need to make sure that there's no politics, all of these type of things that councils need to do to make sure you're completely neutral. So how do we do that? Under the bonnet of chatbots or agents, if you can imagine, an agent is actually like a human counterpart, only the way we build them up and the way the best practice to build them up is to give them specific roles to do. So I've kept this very simple to show that there's three main types of agent. There's a retrieval agent, which will look at your data sources and retrieve and give you simple sort of Q&A answers. There's task agents that will take those answers and will actually perform an action or actions. And then you've got autonomous, which is actually an agent that is coordinating other agents. So depending on what the process is, you may need to just have a retrieval agent. So if it's just checking policies on an internal chatbot, that would be driven to either one or several retrieval agencies, because you can target them at different data sets. So you could have a homelessness retrieval agent that's just purely looking at those sort of things. You could have another one that's looking at antisocial behavior. And then based on that and the various things that you would perform as a council, it may be referring to a third party if it's around parking charges, or it may be that you interact with other agencies. So for instance, on Blue Badge, you can apply on the government site, but that data will come ultimately to the council to then process to create the actual Blue Badge signed off application, etc., things like that. So you can see how these tasks build up. And one I'm going to show a little bit later is, if you can imagine an agent, a task agent that does ID verification. Now, that wouldn't just be used for instance, Blue Badge applications. That could be used multiple times. So you can create a single agent that has multiple uses across your landscape of services. And then, if there's certain parts of it, you could hand over to an autonomous agent that orchestrates all of these other activities, and then says at a certain point when it doesn't know what to do, that's when it escalates to a human that can deal with the more complex cases. So that's a very brief description of how agents can be used and how we set them up in the background.
Darren?
Yes.
That example you just referred to, just to clarify, that's what Satya Nadella from Microsoft and what you guys might have heard before is it human in the loop? That's what they're referring to when it talks about that.
Absolutely. It's like basically taking the repetitive, mundane tasks away from the human so that they can then deal specifically with the complex tasks, ones that might need more thought around them, might need more empathy, etc., things like that, that an agent perhaps wouldn't be able to deal with. But it says that I've gone as far as I can. I now need a human to actually triage this and take this to the next stage. So absolutely. That is the case on this. So they normally interact, human in the loop normally interact with task agents.
Cool.
So the next part that I'm going to talk about is what we call a content guardrail system. Now, with AI, and you'll hear in the news and you'll see online about Microsoft Copilot and all of the other AI systems, whether it's Google, whether it's AWS, whether it's OpenAI, there's lots and lots of AI agents that can be created on the fly, but they need a lot of tweaking. And in the public sector space, there are a lot of rules and regulations that you have to adhere to. So what we've done at HSO is we've built this pyramid of basically their security guardrails that we've added over the top, so they can work in conjunction with Copilot, but we've built this on what we call AI Foundry, and it's more secure and more accurate than using Copilot outside of this system. The other advantage of this is cost management. So in the public sector, obviously budgets are tight, things like that. If you use Copilot, your costs could go up because it's using what we call a large language model or a small language model, constantly calling out. Every time it calls out to that, there's a cost involved with that type of thing. So what we've done at HSO, we've looked at this and we said, right, how can we build this so that you're only calling out at the last possible point, and if you need to call out at all. So what we've done, the first three items here, so reflex matching, security hash matching, exact matching, these are all different types of looking at your data to say that, okay, is it very clear in the input from the resident what they're asking about? So if you was to say, I want to apply for a blue badge, or am I eligible for a blue badge, that's very clear in what it says. And so it would take you straight to that. If it doesn't know, it would take you down it will send you a message saying, I don't quite understand, and ask for more input. If it does understand, but it needs more thing, it will hand over to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. So each stage it will block if it doesn't know, if it does know an answer or it needs more information. If it does know, but it needs more information from data that it understands, it goes to the next stage. The part that we're using that actually calls out is very small, and it uses a small language model. But basically, if we can't categorize the question, the LLM will go and do that and then be able to pass off to the agent that can answer it. So, and all of these things, all of these guardrails, we've provided a user interface for councils to be able to manage and test against their own ideas. So there's a base set in there, but you can tweak them in testing and deployment so that it matches and works the way you want. So it's a very self-service based system that we can deploy. So if I go to the next one, I'm now going to start to demonstrate some of this. Please bear in mind that these are demo systems. So hopefully the servers in the cloud are going to be nice to me and actually work very fast, but they are on test servers, so they don't quite have the same power as a production server would that would deliver these answers, near on immediately. So the first agent I'm going to show is called a citizen agent. It's one that you would embed on your website. It's behind the scenes. It's going to be comprised of two actual agents. First one is a retrieval agent that's going to look down all of your data sources that you point it at, and you might start off with one data source, say for instance Blue Badge, for instance, or you might go into street care or various other ones, and you can build up and release data sources to it as you define them and as you build the guardrails, etc., around them. The demo I'm going to do today is basically just a concept demo of how a query in an application or pre-qualification application for a Blue Badge would work. And then I will show you how that would go into the next agents for the citizen or customer services people to be able to triage more information and then pass on. So apologies for the standard Microsoft website demo, but if you can see here, this could be your council website. You have an embedded chatbot. We can personalize all of these, and there's lots of things that we do to put on there. There'd be a thing to say that I'm an AI agent. Sometimes we would need to refer or pass you on to a human to assist with further things. And all of these are all customizable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to say I'm going to ask a question. Am I eligible to badge? Now it's going to go away. And what this is doing now in the background, this is saying, right, I'm going down that first guardrail loop. It's saying, do I understand what the resident is asking of me? And now I do. So I'm now going to go off to that data source. And that data source could be in your SharePoint. It could be linked to a government website. It could have multiple data sources too, to bring back the relevant data. And as you can see here, it's come back and it's give us like what gives you automatic qualification, other eligibility. Now, I might not be ready to read all of that, so I could just say I have epilepsy, for instance. And I'll ask that question of the chatbot, and it will come up and it should give me some ideas around, or some information, not ideas, but some information around if I'm actually, whether I should start the application. It will only take a few seconds.
And this information, for example, Darren, pull from history. historical information as well. So it could effectively inform a little bit about the individual.
So because this is a public facing chatbot, it wouldn't actually know who you are, wouldn't be able to connect to that. If you wanted to do that type of thing, you could, where you can, residents can sign up and actually have a login.
Yeah.
If you was doing it behind the login, then it would absolutely be able to pull that information around you as a resident based on your contact details within the council, because you've already got that data behind the scenes and the resident has allowed you to use that data for other services.
Yep.
But on a public facing one, at this point, it wouldn't look internally to your CRM to be able to pull that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if you see here, you can see here now it's changed. It's actually now said that it's given me some information around epilepsy. It's given me some criteria specifically around that. And it says, if you want to start your application, please start now and provide these details. You can see here as well that it's also given me some other prompts. So the AI is bringing forward suggested questions as well that you may want to ask that you could quick click on. I'm now saying, well, actually, I would like to start application, and my name, Angela Jones. My email is, and you can see here, I'm just putting in some various things. Now, one of the things we would have running in the background is as a task agent, is information verification, whether that's checking formats of email addresses, whether that's tracking document IDs, etc. So if I'm just going to put this in there now, you can see now that it's now logging that. And what it will do, you can see that I've only provided the first two pieces of information. What it will do now is say, okay, great, thank you very much. It will now start to personalize the message because it knows who I am. And you can see it started highlighting. And you can see the personalization here. It says, right, now you need to add a proof of address, proof of identity. So if I just put in here, I'm not going to even put in a full sentence. I'm just going to say address. I'm then going to put in my council tax document. And I'm going to put that in. Now, in the background again, this would go off to a verification agent that would scan that document, put all of the data that's relevant from that, and then it will double check those data. Now, that could go off and check against other sources. For instance, it could check against DVLA if that's one of the things we've set up for you in the background, but you can see how these things start to pass off and work. You can see now it's asking me for identity. So I'm now going to put my ID in. And depending on how we set this up, you could set this up for multi-document upload or single document upload. Just for the purposes of today, I'm just showing you individual document upload. So you can see I've uploaded a passport. Again, the task agent, the verification agent behind could go off and check this passport ID. It could say whether it's a valid passport or not, and if there's a problem at this point, it would say, would you like to speak to a customer services resident, or can you upload a more recent passport, for instance, if it had expired. It's now asking me for a photo, so I'm into here, add my test photos. As you can see, I don't really look like that in real life.
Far prettier, Darren.
I know. Oh, yeah. The hair is long gone, unfortunately, but who knows? Modern technology may grow it back.
AI can do a lot, mate, but I'm not sure it could do that.
And the last bit that I'm going to add up here, or add to here, is a doctor's certificate. So I'm going to open that, and I'm just going to put in certificate. And the agent behind the scenes will understand based on what you put. If you don't put anything, you can see I've put a spelling mistake there. It will figure out that I actually mean certificate, and it will just now, because I've uploaded all of the information required at this point, if we were following the happy path and everything matches, it says, right, now you've done all of this. It's now going to use AI to scan the documents for authenticity. It'll verify them, and your application's posted onto that. And it'll basically, if we was connected to the CRM at the moment, I haven't connected it to one because there's multiple CRMs it could connect to, but what it would do, it would issue a case number or an application ID, and that would process here as another message. It would also email the resident based on the information given, and then that application ID will go to a customer services agent to then push that on further within their internal systems. So that's essentially what the external one looks like. That was just one example that I took you through from a blue badge perspective. If I go to this one, the next one is the internal one. I'm going to show this a couple of ways. I'm going to show this first of all in Teams. So in Teams, basically you can see I've got an embedded policy advisor, and I can just basically say here, and I could use this using speech. I could be on a mobile phone with it on an app, and I could use it by that. I'll also show it to you in Copilot as well to show you a lot of the collaboration tools, how it interacts with the Microsoft stack. But for instance, if I'm saying this and I could be on a blue badge eligibility, I could just ask, is the eligible for a blue badge, for instance. And you can see now it's firing lots of things across here, and it's just working out in the background. And again, this is interrogating all of the policies. Now, this might be, again, pointing out to the government website, pointing out to your internal policies, all sorts of things like that. So as you can see, as it's working in the background, it says, and there's my first technical failure. I need to wake it up because I've had it static for a while. There we go. And you can see that, as I said, I'll start again with a new one. Normally this delay wouldn't happen because you just fire it up and start using it. This is running silently, so my session stops. Basically, you can see here, it says it doesn't automatically qualify you, but it must include detailed information about. And you could ask it, you could say, no episodes in last year, does this disqualify? And all of the sorts of things where you may not know off the top of your head, but you just want to be able to ask quick questions, whether you might process it or not. So if you had a case come through from the external bot, you've got an application in front of you. This could actually be embedded in your CRM so that you could have this side by side the application, and you could ask it the questions, and you can see it does not automatically disqualify, and it tells you the criteria you need. So you can see various bits like that, and you can see how that works. The other way I want to show you how this works is you can have this embedded in your M365 Copilot application that's been rolled out by Microsoft. And I'll show you a different one here. And I'll say like list all categories for street care, because I'm not too sure at the moment. I've just started with the council. I need to understand, working on street care, working on policies. So I just want to ask it what it is. So again, depending on which data sources and which policies you're you're making available to the agent, you can ask it one or multiple questions around that, and it will go to the relevant data source. And you can see here, it's picked up all of these ones, and it will tell you where it's picked it up from as well. And it will tell you the policy, it will list the documents it's related to. Now, what's really good about this is if you see this, editing pages, I can actually click this and say editing pages, and it opens up a page. Now, what I might want to do here is I might want to say, actually, I need to speak to John about this. And I could put, can we discuss this category? And what that will do, that will then link out to John and set a task. So you can see here, I can click on that and it will just notify him and say, look, Darren needs to talk to you about this street cleansing policy. So you can see how the agents can work quite extensively in your day-to-day work without you having to jump around in a lots of places, and you can track how you can keep policies up to date in a much faster way. And therefore, by doing that, the agents are always up to date.
Darren,
yes.
Jay asks, is the agent limited to a volume of data sources?
No. It's, you can put as many data sources as possible. How we would make that more efficient is we would point different agents at different, sort of related data sources, and then each time a question's answered, the agent, going through that triangle of guardrails would point at the right agent. Because obviously, if you've got one, imagine it's just like a person. If you've got one person looking at the entire Encyclopedia Britannica, showing my age now, the time to retrieve that data would be quite lengthy. Whereas if you had one person that could tell somebody else that's a specialist in that area, it would retrieve it very quickly. And that's basically how the agents would work. And it's very quick, and this is what we're saying. You build an agent to do something, so that would be a retrieval agent. That retrieval agent can just go off. You can point that retrieval agent at individual repositories of data, and then going through that triangle stack would call the correct agent based on what the prompt was from the resident.
And Darren, just a quick question from myself, because this is obviously a concern for a lot of councils. The data which the agent is going into to capture that information, that's controlled. It's controlled, and they decide which data it goes into to retrieve that answer here.
Yes. So there's the way we would do it. The way we do it, you have for various bits for SharePoint. So your policies, your internal agents, that's got all of your internal SharePoint control across that, and you can put Azure security layers on top of that. For the external one as well, there's multiple touch points within the Microsoft Azure stack to maintain that security level.
And just to confirm as well, it doesn't matter if that agent is embedded in Microsoft Teams, embedded in Copilot through the tenant, or it's a public-facing website agent. That's control is always there. We do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This is an interesting question because it comes up, or is one of the things a lot of councils are concerned about, I suppose, rolling AI out. So Aaron asks, do you put any other security in front of your agents on top of the Microsoft standard security?
That security is one of the things that you can absolutely customize. So anything over and above the Microsoft one is down to internal security policies. So, for instance, you may not allow anybody to access the public-facing website from geolocation other than the UK. For instance, there's lots and lots of flags and parameters within the Microsoft stack to enable bespoke security applications and governance across the standard.
Oh, another good one here from Lucy. Essentially, can agents interlink. And she gives this example. If you had an agent in an internal agent for information governance, could that also link up with a procurement agent? Her thinking being that if you were to use this internally rather than public facing, so an internal one.
Yes. So if you remember, I talked about different types of agents with different roles. You have retrieval, you have task, and you have autonomous. Autonomous agents are really a controlling agent that will call other agents that are relevant to the task. So the short answer is yes, they can interlink.
Hope that helps, Lucy. Good questions. If you've got any more questions, do feel free to put them into the chat as well. Do like these.
Yeah, and we can always answer them afterwards as well. We can always publish them. Okay,
Okay,
back to you then, Michael.
John, yes. All right, John, over to you, my friend.
Back with myself. So I hope you've enjoyed the session. It was a very much a whistle-stop tour of some of the agents we're building. The key thing is they are governed to the data which you point it and push it to. We've enabled this to be fast and modular, so you can roll this out very, very quickly, and it's also defined by you. We have 4 questions on a QR code, so if you get your phones out, I'll wait a little bit of time on this screen. But do scan the QR code. We have also a couple of events coming up soon. So we're at DigiGov in the Emerging Tech Zone, the 24th and 25th of September at the Excel. It's stand ET10. We also have our Fabric Analyst in a Day session, again, running side DigiGov. So again, you can join that one as well on the 24th of September. And then we also have a really great event on the 9th of October, which is in partnership with Microsoft's Jaz Brar, who's the CFO. It's a roundtable event where we'll showcase and share all around AI and automation with inside finance controls. One of the things which we haven't touched on today, and I'm going to touch on really, really quickly, is the cost of building out these agents specifically for you. You've seen 3 agents. There's the customer-facing agent on a website. There's the internal policy legal review agent, and you've also seen a blue badge agent as well. And we can create these agents for you. It's built with inside, as Darren mentioned, Azure Foundry. These start, I'm gonna put it out there as well. So these start at a significantly cheaper price than you could probably imagine versus the current market, because everyone's really focusing on AI as bleeding edge technology. We feel it's part of technology we've been using for a long time here at HSO. And fill out the form. We'll get back to you. We'll share the pricing with you. But each agent is coming under significantly under 50, 60,000 delivered within a 4 to 5 week program in tandem with yourselves as well. And if you do go for a couple of agents, the price gets better because we're repeating solutions for councils as per the messaging which we've listened to from Socratim and the councils to make things more cost effective and affordable. So I'll pass over to Michael to close the session.
Cool. Listen, everyone, I know this is your lunch break, so I really do appreciate, or we really do appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. I do hope it has been informative. I do hope you picked up a couple of little bits, a little bit interesting things. And really, as John kind of alludes to there, we want you to leave this session feeling that AI is accessible in whichever way, shape, or form you want to adopt it, whether it's internal, external, or a mixture of both. It is accessible, and it isn't as expensive as it might be banded about, and it can be done faster than you might think. So hopefully this has been useful. If you filled in the form that we put in there, then I will send you the slides afterwards, rest assured, and also a copy to this video. And if you have put your details in there, then John will also have a chat with you about some of the solutions themselves and see if there's anything of interest there to you, or if you want to find out a bit more information about anything we've spoken about today. And the other benefit, obviously, is giving us your details. You'll have our details as well. So if you ever want to ask any questions, you all know who we are, which is always very useful. So without further ado, and all that I'm left to say is thank you, John. Thank you, Darren. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully, we'll speak very shortly in the future. Until then, enjoy the rest of your afternoons. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.